So I'm back with a redo of one of my oldest tutorials titled How to Flat Iron Your Hair. The question I get all of the time when people are talking about wearing their hair straight is how can I get volume with my hair with a flat iron? Or if they've seen me with my hair and asked how I styled it and I used a flat iron that day, they'll say, well, how did you get so much volume, or how did you get the little bend to it? So here I am to tell you how to do that with a flat iron. A flat iron or straight hair doesn't have to mean like smooth and stuck to your head. You can get a ton of volume using a flat iron, and so let's get into the tutorial. So the flat iron I'm using today is by GHD. This is their classic styler. This is so old. I've had this for years and use this when I work behind the chair. Always my go-to, probably the flat iron I've used the longest, so I don't think you can go wrong with that. And then I put Aquage uplifting foam in at my roots. And then from about mid-shaft to ends, I sprayed Kevin Murphy's anti-gravity spray. That's like a wet spray to add volume to the rest of my hair, and then blew it dry, upside down, and slept on it. So to start, I'm gonna divide my hair in half. I'm using a duckbill clip, and I'll go around my temples and lift it up, and then just clip it out of the way. When you're flat ironing your hair, if you have thick hair, coarse hair, curly hair, anything that will need like a great deal of attention on each section, just do yourself a favor and take small sections from the start. It may take an extra like 3 or 4 minutes, but it's totally worth it if you want to have like a really smooth, polished result. The product I've probably spent zero time talking about is a heat protective spray, but as my hair's gotten longer, I've started experimenting with a few, and I really like this GHD heat protectant spray. So this is the same brand as that flat iron I'm using, and it's light. It is in a wet spray, so hold it far away and work with, each section you're gonna work on. Just do a light mist, let it dry for a second, and then flat iron. So I'll apply this to each section as I get my way to the top. And to start over here, I don't need to put the flat iron in quite at my root because my hair is already straight, and my goal here is to just kind of bend the ends under a little bit. So I'll put the flat iron in horizontal, turn my wrist just a slight bit, and just at an even pace pull it right down that section. And you'll see, just by having my wrist bent as I was working my way down, instead of pulling it straight down, I'll get a nice little bend at the ends. And that's all I'm going for, just a little bit of a bend. I'm going to let down that top section I clipped off, and then section from the top of my forehead, kind of creating a mohawk section along the top. I'll clip that up, and then we'll work on this next section. As I'm getting closer to the top of my head, I'm going to bend my wrist a little bit more. So I didn't want to lose length by creating too much of a curl at the end. I wanted that to be mostly straight, just barely sort of aimed under. But for this, I'm going to turn my wrist a little bit more so it can kind of tuck in around the jawline area. So you'll see what I mean here. So I've turned it quite a bit more so I can get this entire C shape once I let it down. See how it wants to bend under a little bit more? And then when I smooth it out, it'll just kind of naturally bend in. That's the look I'm going for. So not stick straight, not boring, a little bit of a bend around the ends. What I also like to do in the back, since that's where the majority of the layering is in my hair, is change up the direction I'm holding the flat iron. So historically I've been bending it just down, going for kind of a uniform shape around the front. But in the back, to encourage a little bit more variety and movement, I'm going to hold the flat iron on a little bit of an angle and just naturally bend my wrist. And this will encourage it to kick a little bit to my right, so it won't all lay and kind of stack on top of one another. And then on this side, I'll do the same thing. So it'll be encouraged to sort of aim to the left. And that'll just create some movement and variety around the back. So with the top section, letting that down, I'll establish my part. Do that final spritz of heat protector. And this is where you can encourage the volume. So this is the smallest section. And notice that I'm holding the hair straight out from where it grows. And I'll put the flat iron in very close to my root area and then lift it straight up. See how you can get a ton of lift right there? If your hair hasn't been styled with a root lifter, which is what's also helping the lift right there, you can spray a little bit of hairspray in right at your root area, maybe a flexible hold. Let it dry. Do not put your flat iron on wet product on your hair, and then do this routine. And a little bit of that flexible hold hairspray will help hold your root area up. So pay attention to my arms here. They are going straight up. Each section is going straight up, with still a bend in my wrist, so it essentially has that C shape. I like to take the sections around my face in smaller parts, so this will be the last piece that I do because I want this to be pretty straight so it's not too bendy sort of into my eyes. But the section right behind it I want to have a little bit more of a bend, so I'm just dividing it in half on an angle. Then I'll pick up that last section. And this will go straight down with a little bit of a bend, and then while it's still hot, I'll push it out of my face. I want it to sort of softly frame my face without being too straight down right in the middle of my eyes. So because my hair is quite dry, I like finishing with an oil, and the Bumble & Bumble Hairdresser's Invisible Oil is perhaps the lightest oil I've ever used. So if you have really coarse hair, you might not see a great difference in using this. But if you have fine hair and you don't want the weight of an oil, but you want sort of the finished look of it, this hairdresser's oil is perfect for that. So this is the end result. If you want a little extra volume, you can tease a little bit, or you can just wear it smooth and straight, and you'll already have the volume from strategically using the flat iron at your root area. So don't think straight hair equals flat hair. I hope these tips helped you, and thanks for watching.